Hello and welcome to your Positive Energy Recharge. I am your host, Jade Sterling, and today we're talking about your hormones and you. Now, if you are a perimenopausal woman who could be anyone over the age of 35 up until you have experienced or gone through menopause, later on in your life, I myself am in the throngs of it. I'm about to turn 47. And I'm interested to find out how many of you are feeling like your hormones are actually driving you at the moment. They're the reason for why things are going right or going wrong. They are having a big influence and a big impact on how you show up in your daily life. How many of you feel that? And how many of you feel overwhelmed, out of control? What does this look like? This looks like watching TV and just crying at a television commercial. This looks like just snapping at your kids without any particular reason. Being able to not communicate with your spouse because of just being able to not connect and have misunderstandings, and possibly even showing up at work and feeling like you can't communicate to your colleagues through your brain fog. It's like you're just trying to get through the clouds, but no one seems to be able to understand where you're at. Is that anybody here? If you're here, you're completely in the right place. Now, the basis of what I teach is that every problem, there is a basis behind the psychology of what you're thinking to solve any problem that you possibly may have. But I am here to also acknowledge that there is an element of biology that you can't control. And so we actually have to learn what's happening biologically so that we can learn to support ourselves psychologically in the right way. And that's what I'm here to help you do. So I do find that there is an inextricable link between your nervous system and your hormones. So let's just talk a little bit about the biology of what's happening for you with your hormones at this time of your life if you are perimenopausal. Now, I like to think of the hormones of the female reproductive system as being an orchestra. And when they're all playing together in harmony, then life feels beautiful and there's a flow and it's harmonious on the inside, regardless of what's happening on the outside, right? From the moment that you start puberty, you start playing this beautiful symphony within yourself that goes right up until you start to experience perimenopause, and there is a few changes in the orchestra members, and some leave and some get a bit louder, and there's a little bit of a different dynamic. This even happens just month to month in a cycle as a woman when your hormones are spiking and dropping and changing, and we actually have to learn how to manage the orchestra as an observer of the orchestra throughout the time that we are menstruating. But at the time where perimenopause comes and things start to change, we actually really have to be aware of what's going on with our orchestra. Now, we have estrogen. Estrogen is the conductor. It actually makes sure that everything's stabilized, your mood, your sleep, your brain, your activity, and it keeps everything going in order and sounding and feeling good. Then there's progesterone, which is like the string section. So it's the dominant section of the orchestra. And when it's playing together in unison, again, like there feels like there's harmony and balance. But when it's not, when there is peaks and troughs of progesterone in our bodies going on as women, sometimes we can feel a little bit of discord and disharmony because those lower vibrations don't necessarily feel so good, and they can throw a little bit of discord, disharmony into our daily life that we don't necessarily always know what to do with. We also have testosterone as women, we do, and there are peaks and troughs of testosterone as we go along in our journey of menstruating life, but also in perimenopause, things start to change and testosterone starts to take a different route as well. And in that time, testosterone is like the percussion section of our symphony, and it's kind of like the beating drum. And then when it's going, we feel like good and everything. We feel like we've got energy. We feel like we've got direction. We feel like we're motivated. We've got good libido. We've got lots of energy. But then when that starts to take a little bit of a dip, we kind of start to feel a little bit like, where's the rhythm? Where's the beat? Like something's going wrong. And what's this all about? And this doesn't feel like fun. And why am I here? So that's when testosterone is starting to take a bit of a nosedive. Then we have cortisol, which is in the background. It's just kind of like the little triangle that just like ding, ding, ding in the background that does its job in order to regulate our stress, and it continues at the same rhythm. But we do find that with the exit and downward slope of estrogen and progesterone, that cortisol tends to be more easily triggered. And then this is completely dependent on where our nervous system is at. And we're going to talk more about that. And then you have oxytocin, which is the love hormone, the hormone that makes you feel connected and right and all is well in the world, that also tends to decrease slowly during perimenopause. And we start to feel that lack of connection. But I'm here to tell you that that symphony is supposed to die down. It is supposed to dial down into a space of peaceful silence for women at this particular time in their lives, where things settle. We don't need the music because we have this surge of wisdom and experience within us that enables us to settle right into ourselves and be the best version of ourselves that we can, and be the teachers, be the leaders, be the inspirational movers and shakers for the next generation. But what I have found is that because our hormones are so linked to our nervous system, when our hormones are dialing down, our nervous system is not. Our nervous system is ramping up, actually. Usually at this time of our lives, we are in the throngs of child rearing, and we're trying to be breadwinners and homemakers. We've got careers happening. We've got partnerships, whether that be domestic or whether that be something that's happening in your working life. There are so many layers and so many things happening on for us that the end is not in sight for another 20 years for our nervous systems at this point. And so because our nervous systems are still dialed up, cortisol starts coming in, ding, 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 as the progesterone and estrogen and testosterone, everything else is kind of dying down. And then we feel this overwhelm. We feel this brain fog. It's like a short circuit. We feel disconnected. There goes oxytocin. And we're not able to dial down with our emotions. And I think that this is the biggest plague for womankind of our current generation and as a society, that we don't have the ability to dial down the nervous system at the same time as dialing down the hormones. And so what we actually have to do is focus kind of less on the hormones, because I know there are lots of good therapies out there to be able to help us balance our hormones, including medication, including different supplements, including different lifestyle choices that we can implement to help support our hormones. But what I think the root cause and the root solution is the word that I was looking for, is the nervous system, and attending to dialing down the nervous system, nurturing our nervous system. And in this way, we need to be able to find the gap that is between our thoughts and our feelings that I talk about all the time. Because there is a moment of clarity and awareness and then choice. Because what did I talk about in the last video? Your feelings come from the thoughts that you're thinking. But if your nervous system is heightened, we don't even have a chance to think about what we're thinking in order to be able to consciously choose our feelings, because we are just reacting on old programming. And people just constantly say to me, why do I do what I do when I know what I know? And that's just the result of a nervous system that is just responding to a heightened state on a regular basis. There is no room for choice. There is no room for clarity. There is no room for calm. And so at this point, I like to invite you to just start to become aware of where your nervous system's at, because all of your thoughts and feelings and actions are all driven by the state of your nervous system. And this is going to be so impacted by where your hormones and your hormone levels are at different stages of your life. So it's time to nurture the nervous system. It's time to start to dial it down as the hormones dial down. And just remember, there's this wonderful quote by, it's Yana Kingsford, I do believe. And she says that balance is not something that you find. Balance is something you create. And so we can try and balance the hormones, but the fact is that because it's in such a close dance with our nervous system, one thing we can control is our nervous system, and that is going to be our area of focus, to nurture and dial down and really exhale on a daily basis. And I'm going to be talking more about how to do that in the videos to come. This has been a beautiful recharge and a beautiful connection. And I hope that you've learned something from this. And I hope that you will continue to follow so that you can actually start to learn some of the things that I implement to be able to support the nervous system as well as your hormones at this time of your life. If you are perimenopausal and overwhelmed and overworked and overtired and over it. So there's more info in the description below. Thank you so much for being here today, and I will see you next time.